A lot of basketball to talk about this week. Going to touch on the NBA postseason at the end. But first, we will start with when it is overreaction time in the WNBA. Is it too soon? Let's talk about it. Welcome back to Beyond the Arc with Brandon Silvers. As always, I am your host, Brandon Silvers. Ace's dream, first game on NBC in over 2 decades. They did a great job with the broadcast. You would know that fact, by the way, if you subscribe to my weekly newsletter at brandonsilvers.com. Shameless plug there. What a game to welcome back NBC. Okay, the Aces were doing Aces things, up by 17 in the fourth. Then the Dream scored 16 unanswered and eventually took the lead with 36 and a half seconds left. But Chelsea Gray did Chelsea Gray things, and Las Vegas ended up forcing a turnover on Atlanta's last possession. Let's go ahead and pull up the box score. I will not do my thinking noise today when I'm trying to pull box scores up. At least I hope not. All right. Here we are, 85-84. Aces win. They were coming off of A'ja Wilson's 45-point game against Connecticut, which was crazy because I was keeping up with the game, and then Vegas was pulling away, and A'ja had like 30 points, and I didn't think anything of it until I saw the alert that she ended up with 45, and that's a lot of points. But yeah, this was a good one for the Dream. With teams that are contenders, I tend to not want to look for the moral victory, but one of my concerns for Atlanta coming into this season, because I thought it cost them last season, was toughness, particularly mental toughness. And I think that this team last season would have folded in the fourth when they're down 17. This probably would have been a 30-point loss. But they've shown growth. They fought back, almost won it, did it without Bree Jones and Ryan Howard, who were both out with injuries. That's a great sign. It was a huge game for the quote-unquote Dreamcocks, the Dream players who went to the University of South Carolina. Alicia Gray, no big surprise, 25 points, 9 rebounds. You know what you're going to get from her. One of the best two-way players in the league. Then we got, in place of Ryan Howard, Tahina Pau, career high 19 points in 36 minutes, 4 threes, 4 for 9 from 3. The big surprise, Medina Okat. The rookie played 16 minutes, 14 points, 11 rebounds. Watching her at South Carolina, you saw the potential, but also knowing how raw she is because she started playing basketball late, the question for me was, how soon will she be able to seriously contribute? So far this season, she's been getting minutes early and often and looking like a really solid basketball player. Just to continue with how the Dream looked, not the best game from Angel Reese, 1 for 8 from the field, 8 turnovers. To me, what I think happened here is, first home game for her in Atlanta. They moved the game to State Farm Arena, sold out, want to have a good game because of that. Also, you want to have a good game because you are playing against A'ja Wilson and the defending champion Las Vegas Aces. And sometimes you can want to have a good game too much, and it can get in your head. This is what it looked like to me watching Angel. She would, the kind of things you see people do when they're like too amped up, where they shuffle their feet and travel before making their move and stuff like that, rushing their layups. This is kind of what Angel was doing. So I don't think that's a huge issue. She'll settle in, get more comfortable. It was just game 3 for the Dream. That will be fine. One of my questions about this Atlanta team, how good defensively does Tahina Pow have to be before Jordan Canada becomes expendable? Because I think on offense, just with the 3-point shooting and how she fits the role and doesn't need the ball a ton, I think Tahina is probably the better fit offensively and can certainly develop into the better fit, like more concretely than how I'm putting it right now. Defensively is where the issue would be, can she stay in front of opposing elite point guards? Or if for some reason maybe they put Gray or Howard on the point guard, is she going to have enough size to compete with some of the bigger twos in the league? I don't know. I just wonder when we are going to reach that point with Tahina, because she was fantastic and played a huge role in that comeback. And that's not to say that Canada was bad. The plus minus doesn't do her a ton of favors, but I don't know how much that matters in a 1-game sample, although being minus 20 in a 1-point game, that's tough. But she did have 7 steals. She's leading the league in steals. She was efficient, 4 for 8 from the field. To me, it's the 0 for 2 from threes where she's not a consistent threat from 3. I talked about this in the preview episode. Her best seasons, she's hit at least a third of her threes, and she has to make you think that she's going to at least shoot it so that she's spreading the floor. I think that's very important in Carl Smesko's offense, where they're going to want to shoot a lot of threes. They haven't really had a great offensive game where everything was gelling 3 games in, but they're still 2-1. And they almost beat the Aces yesterday without 2 of their all-star players. So I'm not super worried about them, but I am just keeping an eye on the Jordan Canada situation. For the Aces, again, Asia does Asia things. Super efficient, 20 points, 6 boards, 2 blocks. Chelsea Gray, incredible. 5 for 8 from 3, 21 points. Tough game for Jackie Young, 0 for 12 from the field. I know it was the 1-year anniversary of her burying her father, and she tweeted something, I believe, about how, an emotional day for her. It was tough. But outside of shooting, she was good. 7 boards, 7 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals. The story has ended up being, as a result of the post-game press conference, Chennedy Carter, who has been unreal to start the season. And it continued yesterday. 20 points in 21 minutes, 7 of 13 from the field, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, a couple of turnovers. Let's see. So in the post-game press conference yesterday, I'll pull up this article from Yahoo Sports, which is like an aggregation site at this point. It was said that she did not want to do the post-game press conference after this game, but she did come out after being requested. It says here it was a terse, awkward presser. She mentioned she was going through it, and she was disappointed at only receiving 5 minutes in the fourth quarter. And then later, she posted about going through a family-related personal issue, and she has mentioned that playing in Atlanta, where she was drafted, and she was eventually suspended for conduct detrimental to the team, and then they traded her to the Sparks. That is always tough for her to return to Atlanta. And I know one of the questions to open up the presser was about, hey, you come back to Atlanta, you see the sold out crowd in State Farm Arena. How does that make you feel? I'm paraphrasing. And she was basically like, I don't care. Like, good for them. So a lot of different factors here. And with her complaining after a win about not playing in the fourth quarter, that has become the story where it's like, oh, already starting up with Chennedy Carter. Here we go. But is it a thing yet? I don't think so. And it says in this article that Aces head coach Becky Hammon said that Carter, quote, didn't do anything wrong besides needing to work on her defense. To me, that is what I saw as well. They went with Jewell Loyd down the stretch because of Jewell Loyd's defense, because Jewell Loyd's shot wasn't falling, but she was defending. I think that that is something that Chennedy needs to work on, focusing on that end, because her energy level is unreal on both ends. Her motor is unreal. And that's why I think she's best in short bursts, like how we've seen her used. And when you watch Chennedy Carter offensively, it is one of the most amazing things you will see, because she is so much faster with the ball than anyone else in the league, it feels like. Like, they had Alicia Gray and Jordan Canada, two of the better, like, these are top 5 at their position perimeter defenders. This is not, I'm not guarding Chennedy Carter. These are two of the best guarding Chennedy Carter. And she makes them look like it's me guarding her. Like, they just couldn't stay in front of her. And she is an absolutely brilliant offensive player who needs to focus a little bit more on defense. I think Becky Hammon is trying to set this boundary early in the season, because if Kennedy's going to be here, they're going to play her important minutes down the stretch in the postseason, and they cannot afford her to have defensive lapses. And it's interesting to kind of look at the reaction to this press conference and to Chennedy Carter in general, because I can't think of a great WNBA comp for what Chennedy has gone through. If you have one, please let me know, drop a comment, whatever. The comps that I've seen would be Dennis Rodman going to the Bulls, and then straightening up enough for them to win 3 titles, because you don't want to disappoint Michael Jordan, who ruled with an iron fist. But I don't think Kennedy's quote unquote antics rise to the Rodman level. For me, both playing style wise and kind of what we've seen with Chennedy as a locker room presence, she reminds me more of Vernon Maxwell when he was with the Rockets. This dude, another player, emotional, wore his emotions on his sleeve, highly competitive, fearless, explosive scorer, and was a crucial part of the Rockets' 1994 title team that beat the Knicks in 7 games. And then the following season, the Rockets were struggling, made a trade for Clyde Drexler, brought him home to Houston. He was raised in Houston, went to college there. And I don't know if at this point Clyde was the second best shooting guard in the league, but at his peak, Clyde was number 2. He was the second best shooting guard in the league to Michael Jordan, to give you an idea of how good Clyde Drexler was if you're not familiar. By the time he got to Houston, Clyde was still very good. If he'd lost half a step, he had a half a step to lose. So he was going to play ahead of Vernon Maxwell, but Vernon was going to get playing time still. His nickname was Mad Max, rather appropriately. But it wasn't going to be enough for Vernon. And so what ended up happening is the Rockets actually had to send him home in the postseason. And they ended up winning the championship again. And I've heard Vernon on various podcasts saying, I handled that poorly. And he had several other incidents that he handled in his own unique way. And he's still quite the character, and just the way he trash talks Utah is fantastic, and Utah deserves it. But that's who Chennedy reminds me of. And I don't think of Mad Max as a bad person, just like I don't think of Chennedy as a bad person. And I think if you reach out and sign Chennedy Carter, this is just kind of what you expect. Like, she's not going to give you the media trained press conference answer. She's going to tell you exactly what she's feeling for good or for bad. Like, that's just what's going to come out of her mouth. And that's fine, because you don't have to guess where you stand with Chennedy Carter. And it sounds like, based on what I've heard, like other former teammates, former coaches talk about with Chennedy Carter, I don't know if she's really the type to hold a grudge. Whereas, I've said my piece. This is how I feel in this moment, and we're just going to move past it. I would expect that is what's going to happen here. I guess we'll see. And again, as great as she is, the Aces do have the luxury of being like, okay, if you're too much of a distraction, then we will just cut you, and that will just be that. So let's just look at her numbers so far this season. 5 games in, 19 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 67% from the field, 37.5% from 3. In that first Connecticut game, she's been incredible in every game. But in that first Connecticut game, 27 points in 25 minutes. She's almost at a point a minute, just under 20 points in just under 22 minutes. Just not missing. I think this has the potential to be, let me get this ad out of here, like a career defining stop for her, because I think the support system is there, and she's not going to really rattle what the Aces have going. And I think she is also aware of the fact that this could possibly be her last chance in the league. So I don't think she's going to rock the boat too much, but there's some stuff you just have to live with Chennedy Carter, just like you had to live with Vernon Maxwell. And I don't think it hurts Becky Hammon's feelings to hear this, or anybody's feelings, because what you're hearing is a competitor. Like, you want a player who wants to be in crunch time. So I think that's where we're at with Chennedy Carter, and I think it's going to be fine. She had a great game. She's had a great season. I think they're just going to keep it moving. So in terms of, is that something or is that nothing? I would say that is nothing. Another something or nothing question would be the Dallas Wings. They got off to a great start by beating the Fever in a very exciting game to open the season. They've dropped 2 in a row. I believe they got a game tonight. But it was after their last loss to the Lynx that Coach Jose Fernandez had some things to say. I will pull up the Dallas Hoops Journal.com article about it. Let's see what Jose Fernandez said after the Minnesota Lynx loss. Those questions go back to Thursday night when Fernandez did not hold back after the Lynx loss. Dallas led for most of three quarters before Minnesota closed the game on a 22-16 fourth quarter. Fernandez said the problem was effort, not scoring. Then he addressed the locker room directly. It's real talk and it's accountability. Fernandez said Thursday, that's what I told them. There's selfishness in this locker room. There is. You got to look in the mirror and be accountable for how you played, and don't get upset if you think you should have played more or didn't play enough or didn't get the shots you think you should have gotten. He said the film would settle it. And then he drops an absolute bar. Quote, the film's not going to lie. Coaches accuse, players accuse, but the film is gonna convict. Body language never whispers. My goodness, that is beautiful. That's truly beautiful. So there was a lot of talk after this loss, especially with the Wings going 1-2 in their first three games, and everyone had them picked as maybe not a title contender, but the team that was going to make the biggest leap this season. I will point out there's plenty of games left for them to do that, and I believe they will. It kind of feels like the Fever before last season, where the Fever were supposed to make this big leap, got off to a slowish start, but then they came around and almost made the finals. I think Dallas is well within, I don't think we're going to throw that away after three games, I guess. But these comments after this loss, some people thought he went too far with them. Who is he talking about? What is he talking about? Well, this article actually says that the players seem to not be bothered by this. They seem to appreciate it. Isaiah James, after being asked directly whether Fernandez had run the risk of losing the locker room, Isaiah James said, quote, no, he's a wonderful coach. He pushes us every day. He wants the best out of us. He's very detailed, and he just wants us to be great players. Maddie Siegrist took the same position. Quote, yeah, I agree. I think he pushes us to be better every single day. We take that as a lesson and try to come together and be the best we can be. Like I said, we're only 3 games in, still figuring out as a group, this, that, and the other. There we go. And I think that's important because that Siegrist said it, even if it's the media trained answer, because I know there was speculation about her being upset because she had talked about after the Lynx game not really being 100% sure on what her role was on this team yet. And the reason for that being, in that Lynx game, she played very well. She had, let's see, almost did the thinking noise, but I held it in. That was close. All right. She had 17 points in 16 minutes, but then could not find her way back into the game in crunch time, a la Chennedy Carter. I don't think she played a minute in the fourth. Let's see. She played 2 minutes, didn't take a single shot in the fourth quarter, and 3 minutes in the third quarter and took 1 shot. So that's tough for you to go 7 for 10 in the first half with 17 points and then take 1 shot in a couple of minutes in the second half. And again, she was +9 for the game. So I know she wasn't thrilled, and she's played decent, and she's coming off a season where she improved a great deal. And I believe she was in the running for most improved, except I think she got hurt. Yeah. So she went from just under 4 points a game as a rookie, 9 points in year 2, and then 13 a game just about last year. And looks more efficient this season, but hasn't really played a ton. Her minutes have been cut in half. So if anyone's going to be upset, probably would be her. But then I was thinking, when I was trying to do my reckless speculation in who could he have been talking about, a lot of people said Arike Ogunbowale because she shoots a lot. So maybe she's being selfish, but I don't think of Arike as, I think there's an important distinction to make about her game in that I don't know if she is necessarily selfish so much as she has terrible shot selection at times. How much of a difference is there between those two things? Probably not a ton, but I don't think necessarily she's like, I got to go out and get mine. So much as it's more of a like, oh, I can make this shot right here, right now, even though there's 19 seconds left on the shot clock and it's a one-legged fadeaway three. When I think of a truly selfish player, like they're looking out for themselves, and that is why they are taking bad shots. I think Arike just sometimes has a little bit too much confidence. And sometimes you want that because it pays off, and sometimes it hits off the side of the backboard. So I don't know necessarily if he was talking about her, because we've seen her pass the ball, and she appears to be a willing playmaker when she has adequate talent around her. And then I'm wondering too, sometimes you can be selfish by not shooting the ball. Like, I think everyone thinks that someone shooting the ball is being selfish. That's what we think of selfishness in terms of basketball, not passing it, shooting it. But if you are too passive for whatever reason, that can be selfish because you are thinking about yourself versus what is best for the team. Which would bring me to Paige Beckers. And I don't think he's talking about any one specific player, because this man, he's dropping bars like that, he probably would have called them out by name. But I do wonder about Paige's game, because this is something we've seen throughout her career going back to UConn, where it's like, all right, well, when is Paige going to take over? When is Paige, like Gino would talk about it. We need Paige to be more assertive. We need Paige to do this. And she's having an incredible season so far, 21 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, 57% from the field, just under 55% from 3. But you look at her attempts per game, 11.7 attempts per game. Why? Why is that? Why is she not shooting more? Like, she should probably be in the, and again, we're 3 games in, but she should probably be in the 15 to 18 attempt per game range, but she just can't seem to get there. And kind of more along these lines, if we pull up what happened in this Minnesota game. Yeah, so Dallas plays Washington tonight. So if we pull up what Paige did in this Minnesota game, she was on the court, unlike Maddie Segrest for the most part. And so if we pull up her shot chart in the second half, very efficient. We got, 4 for 5. Wonderful. Is that enough shots for a player who is your star player and your best offensive player to be taking over the course of 2 quarters? I don't know. When Minnesota is pulling away in the fourth quarter, they outscored the Wings by 12 in the second half. When it's crunch time, fourth quarter, they're pulling away. 2 for 2 for Paige. 2 shots for Paige Beckers in the fourth quarter when they are trying to hold on to a win or prevent Minnesota from finishing them off, that can't happen. That's not enough shots. That's just not enough shots. And so they have to figure this out. Let's see. She made a jumper with 6.5 minutes left. When do we get another one? Jeez. Still looking. Oh, brother. I don't know. Well, I guess I missed it in there somewhere. But, 2 shots in the fourth quarter. For your best offensive player, your franchise player, that can't happen. And that's just always been the story with Paige. And it makes me wonder, like, is that ever going to change? It feels like no. And it also makes me wonder who, in terms of roster construction, what does a good Paige running mate look like? Because they've brought in Odyssey Sims, which tells me they know that Paige needs a point guard beside her. And I agree. And I think Gino, he won a championship with her. I think he would agree as well. And that's why we saw Nika Mule. And then when Nika graduated, he brought in Caitlin Chen. But Odyssey Sims is not like those players in that Odyssey Sims would like the ball to score as well. And she can. And I think that Mule and Chen were better at kind of like they didn't have to always be in the flow of the offense, where I think Odyssey Sims does. And so that's why I was sad to see Ty Harris go, because I think that she kind of fits that mold to me. And I think that she would have been a very good Paige running mate. We didn't really get to see that last season because Ty got hurt. This is like another type of player who fits that mold that we talked about earlier, Tahina Pau. A guard beside Paige who needs the ball less, but can capitalize when you get them the ball in their opportunities and can also make plays for others, seems to be the ideal backcourt mate for Paige Beckers. But Minnesota does not have that. Minnesota, good Lord. Dallas does not have that. They've got Arike Ogunbowale, who, again, a willing passer, but a more willing shooter. And I would say that Odyssey Sims is the same way. The rotations in general, I think Fernandez is figuring that out, the Maddie Seagrass stuff. The bigger problem I see outside of the offense and the selfishness, well, I guess there's no real bigger problem than selfishness if it's upsetting your coach this much. But defense is their main problem to me outside of the intangible stuff. They are currently giving up 90 points a game, which is 11th in the league out of 15 teams. Alana Smith, playing with the mask, with the broken nose, hasn't really made an immediate impact on that side of the ball like you would think the reigning co-defensive player of the year would make. Again, still very early, but I don't know what they're going to do defensively, because even the Fever game where they won, I mean, that was a high-scoring game. Everyone was getting off, and I don't know, just based on what we've seen from Dallas offensively, I don't know if their offensive ceiling is high enough for them to win 2/3 of their games outscoring opposing teams. And I think that definitely will lead to an early exit in the postseason. But we've got a lot of season left. Smith got to work into the mix. Jessica Shepard, we got to see some more from her. So there's time, but I don't know if we're quite where we need to be in terms of how this roster is put together. And that could be playing into the rotation issues too. So we'll see. I would not sound the alarm yet. But again, something to keep an eye on. Should we sound the alarm with the Los Angeles Sparks? I do think so, because this is a team that I was concerned about heading into the season, and we've kind of seen a lot of my concerns come to fruition. The big headline for them was Coach Lynn Roberts talking about Cam Brink. Some of the comments were taken out of context. We'll go ahead and pull that tab up so I don't take them out of context myself. Sparks Lynn Roberts, this is from Clutch Point, sounds off on early Cameron Brink narrative. So might have been after game 1, I think, against the Aces, a Roberts quote was taken a little bit out of context, where she was like, we need a confident Cam Brink out there, and she's going to have to play well. And that kind of started this whole story about, is Cameron Brink having a slow start? And then the next game, Roberts had to address this, saying, quote, she didn't have a slow start. We've played 2 games. She had a great game today. So the narrative of like what's going on with Cam, it's nothing. She's doing great. So we got to stop the narrative. And that Fever game, the Aces game, where she had the slow start, the quote unquote slow start, 8 minutes, went scoreless, three fouls, 3 turnovers. So let's see what we've been looking like for Cam Brink, because the big problem, as I talked about in the preview, and Brink talks about it too, she gets a lot of her confidence defensively. Well, she can't really stay on the court because she fouls so much. So it's hard for her to have an impact defensively because she's on the bench because she's fouled 18 times. And as we see, 4 games. Get rid of this. 4 games for Brink. 15.5 minutes per game, 63% from the field, 3.8 fouls per game in under 16 minutes. So per 36, if she were to play 36 minutes per game, as you can see here, she would average 8.7 fouls per game, which is her highest foul rate. But she's been above 6 and has been steadily climbing all 3 seasons. So this is not good for Cam Brink because that's a lot of fouls. I would point to a couple of things. This is a problem, clearly. But when you look at how many games she's played 38 games. That is not even a full season because of injury issues. The Sparks are also not great at developing their young talent. We see they shipped off Rickea Jackson before this season, and she's averaging like 18 a game in Chicago. So not all of this is Cam Brink's fault. She does have to figure out how to contest without fouling. But I think it points to some bigger issues for the Sparks, because you need Brink to be a defensive anchor simply because of what you have going on with the rest of your team. And that is that you are next to last in points per game given up at 98.3 and defensive rating at 122.9. This problem starts, defensive issues to me always start with the point guard, and then, or start on the perimeter, and then it's like, how much of that can you cover up with elite backline defenders? Kelsey Plum, an elite offensive player, an elite scorer. Okay, she's leading the league, 26.8 points per game through 4 games. You look at her splits. She's making just under 60% of her field goals and just under 42% of her threes to go along with 5.5 assists. That is absurd for a guard, especially for a guard her size, to be at 60% of your field goals. Like that's nuts. An elite offensive player. Defensively, I don't know how to describe it. A lot of it looks like running around. She does have her hands up a lot, because my image in my mind of Kelsey Plum playing defense is her on someone's hip, trying to recover with her hands up and her chest out. And that's how I think of Kelsey Plum defense, which is not good defense, because you are supposed to be between the offensive player and the basket, not on their hip, kind of escorting them to the hoop with your hands straight up in the air. So it starts there, but it's not like Plum is the only bad defender they have, because if that were, I mean, again, it starts on the perimeter, but it would be tough to be this bad based off of one defensive player. And she's so good offensively, you can't bench her. You can't do the Chennedy Carter thing with her on this team, because you've made her your franchise player, so she has to be in the game. And when we look at everyone's defensive ratings, like Plum, so if you're not familiar with what defensive rating, you got offensive rating, defensive rating. Defensive rating, an estimate of points allowed per 100 possessions. So over the course of 100 possessions, it is estimated that so far this season, Kelsey Plum would allow 127 points. 121 for NECA, 121 for De'Erica, 127 for Ray Burrell, 122 for Erica Wheeler. Of the players who play major rotational minutes, Brink is the best at 119. But the fact that she's the best at 119 kind of tells a story of what we've got going on with this team. Then on top of that, so we're not defending. We are not developing our young talent. We are also in need of a true point guard, because again, we're doing a lot of this Kelsey Plum handling the ball, and we've got Erica Wheeler here too. So it's both of them, but neither one of them is a real point guard. They are both just players who can initiate the offense at times, but also treat point guard as, all right, as the point guard, the decision is it my turn to shoot or not? And a lot of times the decision is that it is their turn to shoot. And it's not really how point guard is played at its best. So I am concerned about this team, because I was concerned about them heading into the season, and we haven't seen anything from them that would lead me to believe that I was wrong, because they're not issues I imagined. These are things that we saw from them last year. They stole a win off of the tempo on Friday, but then Toronto turned around last night and beat them. And they beat them because Brittany Sykes had 38 points. Brittany Sykes, a perimeter player, 38 points. Kiki Rice, a rookie, a perimeter player, 19 points. Pretty hard to win games if you're giving up 57 points to 2 players. But that's what they did. And that's why they lost. And that's an expansion team. And so these are all issues that have carried over from last season. Nothing was done with the roster to change that. Ariel Atkins can defend. I know she's only played 2 of the games, but I don't think of her as she is a slightly above average defender is how she appears to me. You're welcome to disagree because defense is the hardest thing to evaluate, but that's where I have her. And one slightly above average defender is not going to change the entire course of your team. So they brought her in. Everyone else, Wheeler, again, not a fantastic defender. NECA, not a great defender. They didn't bring in anyone to help defend. They just brought in more people. Like when you think of Ariel Atkins, you think offense. When you think of NECA, you think offense. When you think of Erica, you think offense. They didn't bring anybody in to defend, and now they're looking around like, well, damn, why can't we defend? Well, that's why. And they were last in the league in points per game last season. 10th out of 12 teams, 2024. They have not been, since 2023, they were 3rd. And that's when they had Jordan Canada, who is a good point guard defender. And again, that's why I'm always right. No, but it starts there, and you're just not going to. Kelsey Plum is not setting the tone for you defensively. It is what it is. So let's see where we are on time. All right, not bad. We'll close up here with a couple of teams and players who are overachieving. The Washington Mystics, incredible. Again, they have that game tonight with Dallas. So a good test for both teams. Mystics 2-1. They beat the Fever in overtime. Sonia Citron, incredible. Okay. 24 points, shooting 60% from the field, 24 points a game. My rookie of the year pick, Lauren Betts, not aging well. I don't know why I would predict a rookie of the year, knowing how things go for rookies in the W. That's how it goes. We will talk about some rookies who are playing well, but she's not really getting a ton of time to play because Shakira Austin has been healthy and incredible. Okay. 18 points, 10 rebounds, almost 4 assists per game, almost 2 blocks. Ridiculous. If she stays healthy and plays like this, my goodness. And then Kiki Iriafen, 19 points, 13.7 boards. We talked about Los Angeles not really developing their young talent. We talk about like teams like Chicago, where the Citron pick came from, not really valuing their draft picks and whiffing on draft picks. Washington does neither. They draft well and they develop their draft picks. Cody McMahon, she played her first game of the season. She had 13 points in that Fever game and was hitting threes. Like her three-pointer looked good, something that I didn't consider just based off of how her career at Ohio State and Ole Miss looked, but her three-point shot looked like she looked very comfortable shooting it. So the Mystics, you see the vision, whether they're a postseason team this year, I don't know if they can continue, but you see where they're headed in the future. So shout out to them. Who else are we looking at? We're looking at the rookies. The Euro rookies have earned my respect. This is where I should have been looking the whole time instead of making my wild rookie of the year predictions just based off of people I was familiar with. Olivia Miles, she's having a good start as a lot of people expected. Pauline Astier from France, playing for the Liberty, getting a lot of time with Sabrina Ionescu out. Almost 17 points a game in 27 minutes, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal and a half. She has been fantastic. 62.5% from the field, 45.5% from three, as if New York needed another weapon. I'm curious to see how they work her minutes in when Sabrina comes back, where they find them. But I feel like it's every year with the Liberty in a European player, like Phoebish, Maureen Johannes, like, I don't know, like whoever their Euro scouts are, they need a raise. And then the Mercury, Jovana Nogic, I think I'm saying that correct. If not, I apologize again. 16 points a game for her. 52% from the field, 65% from three on 20 attempts. She is 13 of 20. And this was a team, Phoenix, where I was like, I don't know if they have enough three-point shooting to really contend. Well, if you're going to have someone like her playing for you, then yes, you do. They have other struggles they're working through, and they are currently 2-2. We won't get into them right now because, again, it's still early, but she has the potential to be a huge piece for what they're doing and what they want to do. Let's talk NBA playoffs real quick. We've got the conference finals. The Detroit-Cleveland series made me feel like an idiot. Like, I don't know anything about basketball because I could never get a handle on which one of those teams was good. They just both looked not good to me. And Cleveland eventually won it, 31-point win last night in Game 7. Detroit, I don't know what that was. So Cleveland will move on to take on the Knicks, who were really firing on all cylinders against Philadelphia and exceeded my expectations. And now I don't see how New York does not make the NBA Finals because, I mean, Cleveland, again, you got Game 7 Harden last night. He kind of just Harden in the playoffs. I don't know. 2 for 10, 0 for 6 from three, 9 points. It didn't matter because Detroit was somehow even worse. But I don't see what Cleveland has for New York. I've been wrong before, and I don't mind being wrong again. But like Cade Cunningham just didn't have a good game for Detroit, 5 for 16. And if he's not going, then they have nobody. Tobias Harris, 0 for 6. I was worried about that. Jalen Duren, how much money has he cost himself? The fall off from a 19 and a half, basically a 20-11 guy in the regular season, to just can't even make a basket in the postseason. Like, I don't know, buddy. Like, I'm sorry. Good luck. And a foul machine makes Cam Brink look very disciplined on that end. Like he just, again, 5 fouls last night. I don't know. That guy, I'm sorry. Both Thompson twins need to figure out their jump shots because let's see what Asar did. 1 for 2 from three, but you watch him play and he had some bad misses. I think he's actually the worst of the two when it comes to jump shots. And they're the type of players too, where you look at him, you're like, there's been a million players like this. You're like, man, if he just had a jump shot, he would be a superstar. I don't know what the deal is. You got to get in the gym. I cannot imagine. What does this go? Maybe 6 games. Maybe the Knicks lose focus for a game or two, and then Cleveland steals a couple. But I don't think they have anything for New York in this series. The series everyone is excited to see is obviously in the West. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just won his 2nd straight MVP award. They've been chilling after they've swept both series. I guess the question is going to be, is Jalen Williams going to make it back? And also, the Spurs have been the only team to really give Oklahoma City any issue this season. They are 1-5 against the Spurs this year. So, sorry, 1-4. I can't count, and that's an issue. So a couple of you had a couple close games, but this is going to be where most of my attention is going to be, because you get to see the Wemby Chet matchup, two really tall, really skinny guys. Wemby is better, but then as far as talent, man, I don't know if as good as the Spurs are, I don't know if they are quite seasoned enough to compete right now. Because you look at like Castle's 21, but he's incredible. Vassell's young, 25. We got basically the true old guys in their rotation. Going to be De'Aaron Fox at 28, Keldon Johnson at 26. But this is a lot of talent here. So I have no prediction. Dylan Harper, 19, balling out. They should just crown the champion, whoever wins this series. I don't see, as good as the Knicks have looked, I don't see what they have for either one of these teams either. So this is going to be a fun series. Shea was deserving of MVP. If you don't feel that way, I'm very sorry, and good luck to you. But yeah, that will do it for this episode. We will see what happens. Do not forget to subscribe. BrandonSilvers.com for my weekly newsletter where I tell you which sporting events you need to be paying attention to that week. I think it's good. I think you'll think it's good. The link for that will be in the show notes. Thank you for watching, listening, rating, subscribing, reviewing, and sharing. And I will catch you later.